Philip, what was it about Deathworld? You mentioned some very specific things about the Deathworld cover that even I hadn't picked up, and I appreciate more after you mentioned it. What was it that stood out to you?
Oh, I was just being arty-farty, wasn't I, in the review?
You were being very arty-farty.
I mean, for me, I was part of the diagonal, like the way the Death World's been created on the diagonal. So from the blue to the red, using the chessboard lines as well for the diagonal. You've got the first, the second, the third, with the size and shape there. So once again, just the way you've used size, shape, color, the splash of poetry in red in the middle. It's just a cover that is just so powerful and just hits. And once again, so much happening on that cover, but it's all contained. So
thank you.
I still have to go looking for the three TARDISes. You pointed them out to me, and you go looking for them every time.
I'm sorry. I'm going to grab. Forgive me. I'm going to grab Deathworld to look at some like, because this was a while ago for me. So I'm like, okay. I'm looking at myself where I can remember the three TARDISes. I remember that was one thing that came back in. That was the only thing actually. Deathworld. That was one that got through pretty much quite. That is pretty much the first version that I ended up submitting. But one of the things that did come up in the approvals process was that TARDIS, that little tiny one. You'll be able to see it up here, and people say, "Well, it's backwards," and I'm like, "Well, yes, because it's the season 5 TARDIS." You know, I was like, I'm going in that deep here. I'm going that deep.
So once again, how was that? How much was it your design? How much was the suggestions? I'm so surprised you haven't got more of an art background, because, as I said, your eye is spectacular in terms of design.
Thank you. It's me hoping for the best. It's pretty much. I can't remember how much of it was in the brief, actually. I think most of it probably was me for this one. The chessboard theme, I knew I wanted to do that straight away. I tried very early on to have more of a chessboard in the background up at the top. So the doctors, I thought there were other doctors would feel more like they're part of the chess game if they were up like that. But ultimately, that was too busy. And I quite like, actually, the idea that it's the doctors and death over chessboard, and that's where we featured the companions.
You've got the companions as the pawns. They're on the chessboard, being the pawns.
Mm-hmm. And that was very conscious. I think that was part. I mean, it's the really boring answer to say, but part of it was practicality of going, how can I feature all these characters in a way that's interesting? That's not, because sometimes that can be a challenge. And so as soon as the chessboard motif came in, I think the imagery that sort of triggered in my head, it was sort of the Celestial Toymaker kind of imagery, but also sort of like the 60s Avengers, late 60s Avengers episodes, that sort of pop arty kind of feel came into my head. And that's where that came. I'm sorry, I'm being terrible answer. I should have some artsy fartsy answer where I talk about connotations and such. But a lot of it is just me desperately going, I hope this fits like this. I hope this works, and I hope this looks in some way marketable.
Yeah. So, but images like, I mean, the Katie Manning picture, which is here in a David Darling's outfit, but wearing the Three Doctors coat. So things like, where you're getting, how much are you manipulating just an image of just Jo? Because I mean, I assume that's not a photo of her you found anywhere.
Yes, that would have been about 5 or 6 different photos put together. The Three Doctors were where I started from that cover. I knew the Doctors are all from Three Doctors, and I wanted as many. I think I don't show the biggest. I think that's probably a cap from Three Doctors. But I wanted
that's his costume from the Three Doctors, with the cap. That'd be right.
Yeah, I wanted it to feel like, because the alternate Three Doctors was the brief. That was the sort of the scope of the original idea. But then the rest of Jo's outfit, like the boots, that comes from my mum, actually. The boots are Joe's, but the idea came from her because I used to sit and watch classic Doctor Who with my mum as a teenager. We used to watch those DVDs together, and the thing she always can seemingly remember was Katie Manning's boots. There's Katie Manning's white boots, and she can remember that from being a kid. She remembers Katie Manning's white boots from being a kid. And I think we once met Katie, me and my mum, and I think she brought it up, those white boots. And so I've never forgotten that. So I thought, while I'm finally doing a full body shot of Joe, I have to make sure I get Katie Manning's and Joe Grant's white boots on there. So that was sort of for her.
Yeah, so as I said, so it's about 5 images. You said, 'cause it said, yeah. So it's the white boots. I'm not sure which show they've come from. It is the dress from Day of the Daleks, the jacket from the Three Doctors. Yeah, head. Do you know where the head's from? We just found a head that was in the right eye line.
Yeah, have a look. I think that might be Day of the Daleks as well, actually, judging by the haircut. I'm not so sure. Okay. It's so long ago, but wait, well, it wasn't that long. It was as long as my memory can stretch. I'm trying to think where I got the shot of Fraser from, actually, as well. The turtleneck jumper probably would have been.
That's Mind Robber Fraser, isn't it?
Yeah, might have been. It would have definitely been season 6.
Yeah,
sort of Fraser.
Did you have to do much with the Doctors, or you just used?
There was
change the lighting.
There was a lot of cleanup, if I remember rightly. Just making sure the quality of the original images sort of all matched. In particular, the shot of Hartnell and Troughton, they're from the photo shoot. The three of them did together on that lovely sort of purple background at the time, and then the shot of John would have been one from. I think it was probably the back-to-back shot he did with Patrick in front of the TARDIS. There was a little shoot they did in the unit lab. So that would have been that shot, and then it was just about making sure they all had that right lighting, and they all seemed to come from the right place. I love that. I think actually that might be 2 pictures of John put together, but I'm not too sure. I can't remember.
Too bad. You obviously don't take notes about what your process is at all.
No, but honestly, it's just because I've done them so quickly, and I've done so many in the last year, which is such a fortunate thing to say. I realise that I'm very lucky to be able to say I can't remember because I've done that many.
If you enjoyed what you heard in this clip from the Sirens of Audio podcast, be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell so you never miss out on another episode from us. And if you want to find out more about us, including our back catalogue of episodes, you can head over to sirensofaudio.com.